Okay, we'll start with the first word, Beraishis. Right? There's a lot of interesting things about this word. I'll give you a mashal from the Goyen. He said that the whole Torah is in the first Parsha. Where do you find? So a guy wanted to test him and said to him, where's the Pidyon HaBen? He said, Ben Rishon Achar Shloshim Yom Tivde, Beraishis. Okay, I mean, those are cute things. But now we're down to something serious. The Gemara says, I saw him on the Mishnah Novice, I saw him on Moritz Niver Olam, and it could have been B'mayim Echad. And what seems to be that the Rishonim seem to learn what would have been the Smayim Echad, the B'mayim Echad would have been Yehi Olam, something like that. The question is, first of all, you have all these different Mamoras here that some of them are quite long. So obviously the Beraishis had to be descriptive what he wanted and how were you going to get it at one time. So in the original Sefer I wrote, they gave a reason, maybe it means B'asachas, like Shema B'zocha B'dibur Echad. So here would be the whole Torah B'dibur Echad also. That's one way of looking at it. I want to give a different idea today, but I want to give you the kashas first. So the Gemara find, the Rishonim find only 9. Now, it's not really 9, there are more than 9, but they got to be 10, got to be 9 that they count, that's negayat to B'riyah. And some of them, the Pirkei counts, Nasa Odom B'tzalmeinu. Now that's not really a creation, that's just getting an advice to do it back then. And they're similar to that. But anyway, they only have land up with 9. And they're still missing number 10. And they don't want to take one of the others. That's whatever reason is, I don't know all the Rishonim on that, so that's something maybe we'll talk about or not. But so the Rishonim answer, Beraishis is also a Maimah. It's something I never understood. I took Chazal's word for it. I mean, that's what they say, Beraishis is a Maimah. But I never understood how it could be a Maimah. Now, I mean, what do you say? Beraishis means in the beginning, right? That's why in the English for sure, that's how they translate. In the beginning of God created. And Rashi translates a little bit different. In the beginning of the creation, God created. But it's a word in the beginning. It has nothing to do with happening, something happening. So that would always bothered me. So once we have them, they're going to give the same teretz on. It's going to apply to everything. So we'll go over to other kashas that bothered me all the years. Again, the Ma'ameh Echad we said before. This is 2. Then Ptolemy had 72 Chachamim translate the Torah into Greek. Separate them into 72 rooms. He didn't make it in one room. The Rosh Shiva said the reason for that was that he wanted to have the contradictions between one and the other, so he would be able to prove that the Torah is not, is not God-given because everybody interprets it differently. And the Beraishis made nisim that everybody made exactly the same changes that the other one meant. They translate exactly the same. So it was target emes. So they all said, and one of the changes was Beraishis Bar Elikim. In other words, Hebrew and English, they put where you put the verb, where you put the adjective, all these things sound differently. So if they would have put Beraishis Bar Elikim into Greek, it would have said Beraishis created Elikim. And then it's a Shemayim, so it's like there's a vav missing, but all right, I guess they'll stick it in as a vav, a parentheses, a comma, whatever it is. But Beraishis, so what did they do? They put down Elokim bara Beraishis. Elokim created Beraishis. What is Beraishis? Beraishis a god, or some kind of a spirit? And that you're afraid that people are going to say the spirit created God, so God created the spirit. First of all, where is it? If it exists, it doesn't exist. So obviously that's not the taich. But that's the way it sounds in the Gemara. Then you have, some Rashi quotes it here, Beraishis, B'shvil Yisrael, and the Torah that they called Beraishis. What does that got to do with the creation of the world? And stuff like this. Another kasha would be, but that we used it as a raya originally to what I'm going to say, is Leicha Maisa Beraishis. What is the Maisa of Beraishis? Now, what we're not talking about in the beginning, that doesn't make sense. And in Zeicha to the Maisa of the beginning, there was no Maisa in the beginning. Zeicha the Maisa of what Beraishis created. So let's see what Dr. Beraishis created. What does that mean? Okay, so my answer is going to be, you can laugh at it because it's something that's so simple, and obviously I'm going to be disagreeing with everybody. So the question is, how could it be so simple and that? And I don't have no answer for that. Beraishis bora Elokim es hashamayim v'ha'aretz. With the word Reishis, he created Shemayim v'ha'aretz. So now Reishis became a command. Reishis. Okay. Now, what does Reishis know to know what to create? Right? Okay, so we know from Kabbalah Shabbos that Seif Maaseh Machshovet Tchila, that unless he's just being poetic, but it's Shaila from Tefillah, so I assume that Shlomo Alkabaz knew what he was doing. So there's a concept of HaKadosh Baruch Hu of thought and Maaseh. So then what it would mean then is that the Rebbeinu Shalom would have thought what he wanted to create, and then he would say create, be, whatever he would have said, which is what he did with Beraishis. Except he Bedavki wanted to make Asor Ma'amoritz, to punish the Rishoyim. So he did the first one to create only the basics, either like the Ramban, the elements, or like Rashi, they were covered up. They had to bring them up into the Maisa, but they actually existed already. So Maisa Beraishis then is the creation of everything that can create. There's no more Yesh Ma'ayin after that. The Rebbeinu created everything. The first day was the Yesh Ma'ayin. After that, the first word, Beraishis, was the Yesh Ma'ayin. After that, there was no more Yesh Ma'ayin. The Rebbeinu took the Yeshes that it created and it made mine. You can say it would be more mashma from the way we're going to learn then. So then why do you need so many words in the other Maisim, Vayemels? Because now that you have a basics, you have elements, and you want to build from the elements, now you have to direct the elements, or whatever it is there, to do what it has to do. It's no more thought anymore. Thought is the Yesh Ma'ayin. But now that you have a Ma'ayin, I'm building from this, so therefore now I have to say what I want exactly. So we have all the Diburim that took a long time. So we got two of them that I can give. Now Ptolemy types it the way we just typed it. Beraishis, with the word Reishis, Bora Elokim, he created God. Who created God? I don't know. But he, whoever that was, created God with the word Reishis. So that can think that anybody saw that something created God. So therefore they put Elokim, Beraishis, with the word Reishis, Bora Shemayim V'Ha'aretz, created Shemayim V'Ha'aretz. So now it makes perfect sense. So that's the way I've learned it. So that's the Taich of Beraishis. A new idea. Somehow that it works throughout, that all the Rishonim and everybody else should really mean this, but I so far haven't gotten that far yet. But in Israel, it's a Pasha de Pshat. I don't see why no one mentioned it. It took me, obviously, my whole lifetime to figure it out, but it's still a Pshat. I guess you can say, why it took you so long? I really don't know, except I was misguided all the years. They kept telling me in the beginnings, I took their word for it. But who's supposed to take anybody's word for anything? So, okay.
So, Elokim Beraishis.
Huh?
So what would be the reading? Elokim Beraishis?
Elokim Beraishis. It says Beraishis, God.
He created with the word
Rachis, the word Rachis. But that, you're right. Or he created Rachis, whatever was the beginning of the world. In other words, it doesn't say that Elokim Bar Beraishis. It says Elokim Bar Rachis. No, it's a Beraishis, I think.
It's other ones.
I think I remember to look. I think look them over
Yeah.
there. Yeah. We'll go weiter meanwhile. Okay, the first Rashi. Rashi says a very interesting thing. That you shouldn't have really started the Torah from, you should have started the Torah, which is the first mitzvah to Jews. Okay. Is it important for us, for Jews, to know that the Beraishis created Shemayim v'Aretz? It seems it is. It's the Ikrei Emunah. So if that's the Ikrei Emunah, so why we?
So the Beraishis, Elokim Bar Beraishis.
Beraishis.
Elokim Bar Beraishis.
Okay, so it's good. Beraishis, it's good. Okay. So he says that the reason is, so I'm saying, so the first thing is, so why don't the Jews need it? In other words, we need to know that the reason we keep Shabbos, the seventh day of the week, the Beraishis rested, it's an important yesod, right? If it's important, so why do you tell me the Torah should have started? Should have started right from the beginning, right here. So on this we can answer that we don't keep the Torah because of the Beraishis. And we don't keep Shabbos because of Beraishis. No matter what we think, we don't. And if you take a look in the mitzvahs of the Aseret HaDibros, the one in Yisroi, which is the first, which is they're both given the Chayre at one time, so it doesn't make a difference. But in this Yisroi, the Lashon is Yochadim Shabbos Lekadshei, and he comes out with the Inyan Al Kein Berach Hashem Es Yom Shabbos Ve'Kadsheu. God bless Shabbos, and he made it holy, right? Doesn't say anything about us having to keep it except by the fact of Zocher U'Meins Yom Shabbos, right? Doesn't really say that we're keeping it. Just remember it. How do you have to remember it? Zocher Yayin. You have to make Kiddush. You have to make things. That's what you have to do. But it's a remembrance. It's not a thing of an active thing of why I gave you Shabbos. Now, if you take a look in Eschanon, there's a different Lashon over there. And there the Lashon is sorry, the fingers don't go that good. Okay. Shomer Yom Shabbos Lekadshei, V'Zocharta Ki Eved Yisrael Tzim Mitzrayim, and God took you out of Mitzrayim. Al Kein Tzivcha Hashem Elokecha Lasis Yom Shabbos. Therefore, God gave you the mitzvah to keep Shabbos, because we're avodim to Paro, nothing to do with my Beraishis. So, what's that mean? Nothing to do with my Beraishis. So I think it means to say that there's two parts to Shabbos, Zocher v'Shama. So Zocher, which is in Yisroi, that is a concept of Shabbos. We'll talk about what that concept is, but there's a concept of Shabbos. And that even Goyim may be allowed to have, because that concept, the whole world has to know that there's such a concept of Shabbos. But the second half, that it says Shomer Yom Shabbos, that means you can't do any work on Shabbos. That shows Avdus. In other words, the Shiva explained once why Shomer explains more Avdus than Zocher, because Zocher is in the Layayin, needs a positive action. And Shomer is a negative action, don't do. The only one that can tell you not to do is a balabos. I'll give you a moshel even with your kids. When your kids come home from school and say, and they want to play, So what do you say? Do your chores, if they have any, and then you'll play. So I have chiyuvim. The chiyuv, do your homework. And then when you finish your chiyuvim, now you can play. Now you can be a free person. What's an eved? And I think the closest that I can find to the concept of an eved would be a chauffeur. Now, it's a personal chauffeur, not somebody that picks you up and takes you places. That's not a chauffeur. Chauffeur that waits you. He comes 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning to take you, and he finishes when he brings you home at the end of the night. Any rest of the day, he's at your side, or right, but at the car's side the whole time. Maybe you want to go someplace. You don't have to tell him. You can sit there 24 hours, the whole time in the office. Doesn't make a difference. You sit down in the car. But he can't go away from the car because you may need him. And that was the thing there. So therefore he's on 24-hour call, kipshute, that I can't leave here. He's among total call. That's Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael are Avdei Hashem, because he took us out of Mitzrayim. When one melech conquers another melech, what's the law? Whatever the possessions belong to that melech, they go to the next melech. So the Klal Yisrael was the avodim of Mitzrayim, the Beraishis Shalom freed us, and therefore we're his avodim. And his avodim are that on Shabbos we don't work. That's the thing there. On Sabbath, to create God, he demands. That's the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash, whatever. It's other things that we learn out from the Torah. But B'etzem, as far as the what do you call it? There is no other. So basically, Shabbos then has nothing to do with my Beraishis as far as the Jews are concerned. So if that's the case, so the Torah should have started Takef Achir, because that was the first mitzvah the Jews were commanded. Right? So therefore, it should have started there. But the answer that he gives is a very strange one. He says that it's supposed to be for us to, whenever the world will accuse us that we're taking land that doesn't belong to us, we say that the Reuven gave it to us. Chutz for, what's his name? Not Trumpeldor, Begin's party, but the one who made the Begin, Jabotinsky, no. But who was this? Jabotinsky, no? So that Shaila Shnei, they wanted both sides of the Yarden. So they know God gave us this land, this is our land. That's what we want from the world, that's what we want. The thing there, we're not willing to sell for less. Okay, obviously they did. And the rest hopefully will come back with Mashiach. And right now what's happening, things that are Poshet Klal belong to Klal Yisrael, right? From Shnia, right? From leave in the second, we came up from Golus, from Bavel. So he gave us Yehudim Binyamin, which included a big chelik of what they call the West Bank and all of that stuff. And now they call it occupied territories, right? That's what this whole Americans leftist majority in the Congress call it, right? With some of the Jews. How many people have answered this answer? God gave it to us, it's ours. They're usurpers, not us. They occupied it illegally all the years. If they were there, I don't believe they were there. Because according to the Zionist movement, their slogan was a land without a people for a people without a land. So therefore there were no people in Eretz Yisrael at that time. So where'd you get all the Arabs from? They claimed the Arabs were Bosnians. Before the First World War, Turkey was afraid that England may come up through the belly. In other words, through Saudi Arabia, in other words, through the Persian Gulf, and come in that way to Eretz Yisrael. So, and then have Turkey hit on the other side because of that, it didn't hit their whole empire. all part of the Ottoman Empire. So they were afraid of that. So they occupied the land with Bosnians. Bosnians are Muslims, and they obviously must be Arabs. And that's the people that are there now are the Muslims. But nobody goes back that far because we're arguing with the statements that are brought into the UN now, brought in Congress now, that we're occupiers of illegal land. So the question is that why doesn't anyone propose this to us? So I really don't know, like the Pshat is, but it's an idea that we have to believe it at least, that the land is ours. It's not Pshat that we're occupying, we need land and this guy's there and we're kicking him out and taking over. That was given to us a long time ago, and it's ours now. Okay, now why does a goy need Shabbos? Okay, by us, I don't even think they miss Shabbos. They don't even know about Shabbos. What do I mean? By us, and yet to be, and I'm talking about my age now, I think about in the 30s or the 40s already, used to say, what would I do without Shabbos? I need that day to regain my keach. Shabbos is necessary. The Beraishis is giving you a cycle that this is what it takes. A person works 6 days, he has to rest one. Not rest in laying in bed necessarily, change what he's doing, his attitude, his have to get himself involved maybe in the ruchnius of the world. That's what he is. But even for the goyim, it's a time of contemplation. I created 6 days of work. What did I create? Did I create something good for humanity or something bad for humanity? I created an atom bomb, right? The purpose of the atom bomb when they created it was to blow up Japan, right? But Lamaisa, what do we do with the atoms now? We run energy places, electric companies. We run a lot of places that are run through atomics, right? So in Mele, they brought good into the world, but the Maisa with the good, they have the dangerous part. Everything can be used. They have a knife, right? That Cain didn't know how they killed Hevel, right? And so if there was a knife, he would have known. So until Tubal Cain is born, it makes the knife, there is no knife yet. So how did he kill him? Okay, so it's something that he didn't kill him with a knife, that's for sure. But yet, one of the simchas of Shabbos, one of the chalokim simchas Shabbos is to sharpen the knife. You're mechuyev to sharpen your knife before Shabbos. Now, that's something we have with Zeglach, so we can't sharpen our knives anymore. Then we sharpen. But in the old times, you had to take it out and sharpen it, maybe, because that's also simchas Shabbos. If you cut and the challah doesn't cut well, or whatever it is, or the meat don't cut well, so you're not eating well. So I have to have a sharp knife. A sharp knife, though, is very dangerous. Yes, so some of the women in the kitchen, and myself included. And the thing is that your fingers get cut all the time, right? But it's part of the job. It's part of the, what do you call it? That's what you eat. So everything is good and bad. Fire, for instance, that's without fire, you're not cooking. Without fire, you have a fire alarm. I mean, and we know they happen from mitzvah sometimes, from Hanukkah licht. And the Shabbos I never heard really, but the Hanukkah licht. I'd look from Birkas Chometz. Those I heard fires from. And by the Goyim Lahavdil is often you have fires. Without fire, you can't exist. So obviously, these things are very important, but each thing has good and bad, so we have to learn how to use them. We have to learn to, there's a point of contemplation. You have to think. If you're always busy working, creating, and doing more and more, you never have a time to think. So the guy really needs that. Did you ever think about why there's a concept of 7-day week? The month, we know, was, many moons ago. I remember I saw these Indians, thinking about Indians, many moons ago, right? That's a cycle. They understand it. It goes from a no moon, from a new moon, to all the way to a full moon, to all the way around the thing, and so that takes around 30 days. many years. Also, you understand the 4-month cycle, a 4-season cycle, and you get it, you finish it, and you got a year. But what makes a week? Who invented the concept of a week? The Torah did, by the fact that the world was created in 7 days. That's your concept of a week. The Russians, this the Shiva told me, that the Russians, when they took over, when the Communist Party took over, they wanted, I didn't remember what he told me, but they wanted to change the concept of a week to a series of days that they feel that a guy has to rest and so on, not as God-given, because the week touches up that there's a God in the world. And that they, of course, denied, so therefore they wanted to change the concept of a week. They never were able to, obviously, but I don't know, you can kind of figure it out. What do you call it? They had these doctors and everybody testing a person, how long can he work at full speed, and then the thing, you can ask the Nazis what they did. They figured it out. Anyway, so that's Shabbos. Now it says over there, what did the Beraishis create on the first day? He made oil, right? And he was mavdo darkness. He called Lila. Okay. So it seems that on the first day we also had this, right? Now we see the Mamoris are first created in the 4th day. So it was not done by the Mamoris. So it must be done that there was another light, the light of Shabbos Beraishis. So Rashi brings down, and over there by the Mamoris, that this is for after the 7 days, but the first 7 days, day and night, there was always light with the light of my Beraishis. It never got dark. So what do you mean it's Yom B'Layla? And he called darkness light. Where was the darkness? There was no light. So you'll say he had light and dark together. So Yeshiva said, light and dark makes gray. It doesn't make it light, doesn't make it black. And you'll always be able to see with a little bit of light. So you can always see, so you don't have that pitch blackness that you would have with night and so on. So we said, interesting yesod, that it meant he made pockets. There were dark pockets and light pockets. And Adam Marishan is going to be created. I'll give you a much of what it is exists now. A chicken coops. When the farmers want to get a better production out of their chickens, they keep the light on for 24 hours. Why? Because a chicken is only up, all birds are only at daytime. Nighttime, they're out. But if we keep the light on, they're not out. So their bodies work 24 hours, creating more eggs. And they get used up a lot faster, of course. But that's what the light and dark was. If you want to work, you stay in the light. You want to go to sleep, you stay in the dark. And that's a choice, he said, a person has always, was manazeh for sure. If a guy wants to not participate in the world, he turns the light, makes the room dark, and he's in the darkness. But darkness is made for rest, for sleep. It's not made to utilize as the day. That's for sleep, not utilized to be up, even though for Torah we have to be up a certain amount of time, miyuchina. But at the other same time, a guy should not use the daytime to go to sleep, because that takes away from productivity. So Memela, that is what they technically was made for, and whatever it is. It also came out for me from this thing that obviously you can be able to tell a day before. So we had a Talmud of Avramot that went to the north, as far north in Canada as you can go, to test out to see the sun and with the 6-month sun and 6-month night, and to see what happens. And he told me that even when it's all light, but you know where the sun is. In other words, the sun shines, it's not directly over it. It goes around it. So so it can be all light, but it's still we know when it's day and night. In other words, and then the din is to say when it's daytime and when it's nighttime. It's still light, you can still see. That's the one thing I don't have to do with the others. So maybe Gabi's Man Krishman, things of that sort. Or the Gabi Shabbos, there are no Shilas. You don't keep 6 month Shabbos. And you don't keep a 6 month Yom Kippur for sure not. Okay. That's it. Then he said, second day, right? And he made it and he called that Shemayim. Okay? Shom Mayim. There's water. That's Shemayim. Where is Shemayim? Personally, I don't know. Is it past what we call the universe? Could be. In other words, the universe, they counted 8 planets plus the half planet, whatever they want to call it, Pluto. But anyway, the used to be that was the end of the universe, our universe, which goes around the sun, whatever it is there, and after that, so is Shemayim up there? Could be. And this is all the Hevdil, this is the Rakia, that could be. Or maybe there was a nearer place that I don't know. But one thing we see from here, that if we go that all the water is on Earth, and all the other words the world is in Shemayim, there's no water on Mars. Right? The science found that it could have been water the way we understand it by the curves in the ground and all these things there. First of all, it could be. But I doubt if it meant water. I would think that it was a stuff that was formed that way. What's the kasha? Maybe made it like it. Why do you make it that way? Make it so you can be a kaifa. If you made it that it's so obvious that there's a God, then you wouldn't be able to be a kaifa. You know, a bechira. But the Beraishis made it that you can give it. They always say, "Magodlu Masecha Hashem," right? You all say, "Magodlu Masecha Hashem." What do you mean by that? Oh, look at this, look at that. God can make the whole universe. What's the yichus of a mountain? What's the yichus of a sea? If you can make the sun, make the thing there, and we make brachas on the sun too. That's shachris and a and we make brachas on that. But l'maisa, it's we're amazed with that. Why are we amazed with the things that we're used to? We're usually not, right? So when we talk about so what's the point of Magodl Masecha? Where do you see the godless of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the Maisa? Maybe you do see it, I don't know. But I always found it difficult with the things that I see every day and everything, even though it says, look at it, stare at it, know about it, and then you'll realize the godless of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, fine. All I know about a hilly piece of land is they got to go up, and it's hard to walk that way, and it's easier down than going downhill. That's all I know. And you can go very high as it gets colder as you go up. You want to go to the country, you go to the country. It's the mountain. You want to go to the Alps, you go to the Alps. You want to go skiing, you go somewhere else. Who knows where you go? But what's it got to do with the normal? That's normal. That's what the world looks like. That's what the world is. There's no kasha. The kid born in the midbar had any problem, and he saw the godless of the mon. He ate mon from the day he was born. So what was there to know? That's food. That's the only food you have is the mon. So this is the world we have. So what do you see the Godlu Masecha? I touch the Godlu Masecha. We see really the Beraishis should have made just walking mud. Right? That way we would all know that there's a Beraishis. How would we know? You see this mud? It talks, it walks, it does. That mud, it just lays there. It's dirty. Right? So it's two different muds. So I know there's a Beraishis in the world. This mud walks and this mud doesn't. But no, the Beraishis made a bria called a person. Put on the flesh and the organs and everything else. And now because he made such a complicated item, we say it was an accident. How'd you do that? Obviously, the more complicated you made something, and they can't understand how it could have been made, so it must be an accident. There's no other explanation. Because God, they don't believe in. So it must be an accident. So by making a complicated world, you gave the keach to the apikusa. That's my God Masach Hashem. So therefore I say the same thing here. By the fact that we don't know where the Shemaim is, you make things look like this and that, and only that they should know that they don't know anything. This was proven, I think, by one of the inspirations, I don't remember which one, that they sent out of the universe, and they discovered they knew nothing about Jupiter. All their theories, all the things, I think, were all false. And the thing over there. So I can't answer you, and I think they found out on most of the things that they saw. Saturn, all these, Mamish didn't know anything, no matter what they observed or thought they observed, and they touched up that must be what it is. When they got actually photos and stuff like that, the thing they saw was false. So obviously they know nothing. And medicine tells you the same thing. You ask any doctor what he held 25 years ago and what he holds now. All the truths he held 25 years ago are all false now. So what does that mean? Well, the same thing goes with science. Science, I think, this I'm not too sure of, but this is what I've heard, that originally the world held of Aristotle's theory of the two weights going down. After Galileo disproved it, supposedly, right? So they believed in him. Now they're going back to Aristotle. The same thing, Newton made gravity, then Einstein came along and said relativity. There's no such thing as gravity. So now they're going back to Newton again. Now, Shad is because you can't really know from the things there. It takes a lot bigger things to be able to shut up what it is that you're doing. For instance, you have a bullseye on a barn's wall, right? So a guy standing 20 feet away, he can't miss, right? When he put him away 200 feet, and he's off by, let's say, a mashu in the things, no right, he'll hit the garage, he'll hit the barn anymore. If you put him away 1,000 miles, he probably missed the barn by about 50 miles or something like that. In other words, you want to hit the moon, you want to get up there, it has to be to the drop. If you're a little off, you're going to keep missing. And that's the point that we have to get to. That. So when you're not getting to that the chut ha'sayre that divides the two, both fellows are good, because they both answer the question why things drop. But if you want to know how to get somewhere else, then we have to make up through all these things to get to the exact thing that is. The same thing goes as far as in learning. We'll have a this fellow and this fellow, they all answer the tarets. But there's always be a point where they disagree. That's the point of how far you want to go. Anyway, this Lakia seems to have been a very easy thing. I mean, there doesn't seem to be, of all the maisim that were made, afterwards, this one seems to have had everything there, and what you did is like some separate. I mean, I don't know what that means, but whatever it means, that seems to be that should bring in a second. Of course, they all took a second, but I mean, but the concept even is a second. What did God do the rest of the day? So God did, that's on a kasha, because on the second day, the Beraishis made the whole Olam Elyon. That's why it says the word Echad. On the first day, God was the only one there, not Yom Rishon. It's Yom Echad. Echad, that was the only day that the Beraishis was alone in this world. After that, he made the Yom Sheni, he made the Olam Elyon. And until he made the Olam HaTachton, which is the 6 days, and then 7 days, then he made the Olam HaTachton. But the first day, so the Olam Elyon, so the Beraishis was busy making the Olam Elyon on Monday. The Gemara says that if someone born on a Monday is angry, an angry person, you're talking about midos,